Hey folks, how's it going? So today I'm going to show you how easy it is to make a nourishing herbal infusion out of oat straw. Oat straw is a really accessible herb. It's a good place to start if you're not sure about, just like nourishing herbal infusions or herbalism in general and you want to work with safe, simple, food-based herbs. So oat straw is what they make after, like, you make oats, like oatmeal, oatmeal. And basically after they get the grains off of the oat stalk, this then sits in the field to dry, and typically they can turn it into like bales of hay. It's really good feed for pigs. It's a random bit of information that you probably don't really need to know. But also, some of it's destined for humans. Oat straw tea is really common, and while oat straw tea isn't bad, and I add oat straw to some of my teas for layered flavor, when we are talking about getting that deep-seated nutrition that's in this oat straw, we want to make a nourishing herbal infusion. And the difference between a tea and a nourishing herbal infusion is the volume of herb per the volume of water versus like tea bags versus like we're going to make a half-gallon jar here, and how long it sits. So with tea, you're what, maybe 5 to 20 minutes max. You're letting it sit there and then you're drinking it, or you're simmering it for a little while. But with a nourishing herbal infusion, we're going to be dumping hot boiling water over top of this. I am waiting for my water to boil. If I would have been a more prepared person, I'd been like, oh, my water is already boiled. But we can get started anyhow, and then I'll jabber all about why you want to be drinking this nourishing herbal infusion. Or I might talk about it while I'm doing it. I don't plan this shit at all. Okay, so first thing you're going to need a kitchen scale. Don't eye this. Don't say, well, I used 1 cup, I did this. You need a kitchen scale. This thing, I bought it like a decade ago at Wally World for like $5. There's nicer ones there now, but they're really only between $5 to $10 if you can't afford that because times are hard. You can probably throw an ad up on your local Facebook yard sale site looking to buy a kitchen scale for cheap or used. You're like, hey man, those things are like $10 at Walmart. I'll give you like $5 for it, $4.99, $3.50, and you deliver. Anything that's going to allow you to weigh ounces out. So maybe if you, have a different type of scale laying around because you smoke a little bit of weed or something like that, whatever. Anything that allows you to weigh 1 ounce of herb or more. At this point in time, I make half-gallon jars. Most people, when they show you how to make a nourishing herbal infusion, they show you how to make a quart jar, which is half the size of this. And there's nothing wrong with that. You can half the recipe that I'm going to show you. However, you don't end up with all that much liquid because of the herbs that are in it. You maybe only end up with like 2.5, 3 cups of infusion, and that's really only enough to get you through a day. I like to make half-gallon at a time, so I only have to make an infusion every 2 to maybe 3 days because I just end up with so much more liquid. So I hear my water's getting ready to boil. So you also will need your oat straw. Do you like how organized my thoughts are? How well put together and professional my videos are? Me too. Okay, so put your jar on your scale and turn it on. That will make sure it's zeroed. You don't have to do anything. It just automatically says that I have to, no, there it is. I was like, oh no, it's not working. And then I put it on ounces. That way I don't have to, know the grams and ounces. And then, oh shit, I forgot to put this in there. Okay, if you have one of these, it's handy. I'm going to tear it now. That way, it's just zeroed out. But this is handy just to get the herbs in the jar. So now you're going to put 2 ounces per half-gallon jar. So if you only want to make a quart, it's only 1 ounce per quart. So 1 ounce per quart, 2 ounces per half-gallon jar. So here comes the 2 ounces. It's been a moment since I've made a video, so I'm like, well, it's not been that long, but I'm just weird. It's all right. So almost to the 2 ounces, and it's important to weigh it out because the reason that you want to weigh it out is you want your body wants predictable results, but also you need a specific amount of herbs to really saturate that water. It's also why I don't suggest I see a lot of people mix their herbs. They'll get 2 ounces worth of varying different herbs in their infusion, but that's kind of just like a big cup of tea because you don't have enough of any one herb to really be getting that nutrition into the water. So basically, as this water cools that we're going to dump over, I'm waiting for the teapot to start screaming. I can turn it up. Give me a second. Okay. Basically, as this water cools down that we're going to pour over it, it pulls out all of the nutritional value, that's the right word, nutritional values, minerals, nutrients, various things like that. Now, it's really important that when you are making a nourishing herbal infusion, because I know you might like learn this technique and then be like, oh, I could do this with all these other types of herbs too, and you can to an extent. If the herb you're using has a lot of scent, I don't mean has a smell, I mean a scent, like lavender or like rose hips. Well, not so much rose hips, so there's rose petals. Anything that's really fragrant, chamomile, mint of any kind that has a really strong scent, you do not want to make a nourishing herbal infusion out of that, because that smell means it has high levels of volatile oils, which is what the industry has coined essential oils, but they're really dangerous to ingest internally in large amounts, and the water extracts that. So my water's boiling. So now, you've weighed out your 2 ounces into a jar. That was ridiculously easy, right? And now you're just going to pour boiling water over the top of it. And it's important that you want to make sure you're using a mason jar or something like that, because these jars are meant for high heat. And you want to make sure that you don't like take your jar out of your garage in the middle of winter and it's like cold as shit, and then you dump this in there, it'll explode from the temperature shock. So I'm just gonna dump my boiling water over top, and see how that instantly changed color already. I like to use a butter knife. You can use a spoon, whatever you want to stir it, but a butter knife doesn't seem to cause as much of a mess. And so I'm gonna stir it, because if you don't, look at that, how much water wouldn't have got in there, and it kind of just helps it get all saturated. You know, there's a solid 1.5 cups of water that if I didn't stir it, I would miss. Okay. So why do you want to make this nourishing herbal infusion? Well, you've heard about how oatmeal gives you energy, it's good for your heart, you know, like gives you stamina, eat your oats, sow your oats, you know, all those sayings. Well, it's true. Oatmeal is really good for you to eat, but oat straw is also fantastic. She's loaded with vitamin Bs and a lot of calcium. Calcium is really important for bone development, especially people with female bodies, because we need more calcium as we age, when we grow. In fact, if you're in your 20s, 30s now, what you do now and what you nourish with your body now will nourish your body with now will determine how well your bones and everything else in life when you're like 40, 50, 60. Same for men too. I mean, what we do now in our 20s and 30s really affects how we're feeling when we're older, right? So she's fantastic for supporting healthy calcium levels. But those vitamin Bs also give her the natural ability to like uplift our mood. Now, if you're a person that has like the MTHFR, also known as I cuss all the time, so whatever, the motherfucker gene. I have that gene. It means that my body can't really process natural vitamin Bs, and it can't methylate them. So I have low energy levels if I'm not making sure to like try to eat as much natural vitamin B and stay away from synthetic vitamin B, and I don't want to drift off too much there. But she's really high in natural vitamin Bs, and while I can't really absorb it all, I definitely feel an energy boost when I drink my nourishing herbal infusion of oat straw. But that's also how she's pretty good at like lifting low moods, right? But she also supports our pancreas, which means she supports like natural insulin levels. She's really fantastic for helping us ramp down. She supports our nervous system functions amazingly. So some of you may be familiar with like Milky Oats tincture, right? This doesn't have natural latex in her, so you don't have to worry about a latex sensitivity like you would with Milky Oats. But she does have not as much, but similar like nervine properties. And a nervine is anything that calms us down. It really nourishes our nervous system function. And it's not just your brain, it's all over your body. And she's also fantastic for cardiovascular health. She really helps keep our veins nice and elastic. Oat straw is amazing. And it's food. It's food. It's food. People, you're like, I don't know, maybe I might hurt myself if I drink too much oat straw infusion. And I guess in theory you could also hurt yourself if you ate too much oatmeal. But it's one of those things where it's like, you don't have to really worry about, will this interact with my medication? Does oatmeal interact with your medication? Right. Now, some people are worried about oats and gluten, and I won't dive super deep into the science of the fact that oats do technically have a type of gluten in them. And if you're hardcore celiacs or something like that, typically you can't do any grains, so you're already not going to be touching oatmeal. But if you're just kind of like gluten intolerant or just avoid wheat, the thing is, there's not the type of gluten in here that you're thinking of. It's not the type that's like in wheat. And this is the straw, not the grain, so there's even less. So when you buy gluten-free oat straw, or gluten-free oats, what you're actually getting and paying for, because it's quite a bit more expensive, is the farmer has dedicated equipment solely to harvesting oats and the straw that's with it, versus using their threshers and their combines and everything for like their wheat field and then hopping over to their oats and doing their oats. They're solely using all this equipment just to process oats and probably other things that are gluten-free, you know. And so that's really what you're paying for when you get gluten-free oats. It's just that they've used different equipment. And there's nothing wrong with that if you have a sensitivity or whatnot. But if you, again, you wouldn't be using this if you had celiacs. Although, I don't know, it's up in the air. I've known people that have been celiac and could do oat straw infusion but couldn't eat oatmeal, right? Because there's no real grains in this. This is just the straw, so think of it as a tea. But oat straw is just a really good place to jump into nourishing herbal infusions. And, it helps us cope with stress. I know that we've moved into a new year now. It's 2021, not 2020 anymore, but let's not pretend like that just erases everything that's still currently going on. So when our nervous system is wrecked, we really need to help our body learn how to cope with stress. And she's also really good for your immune system in that way too, because vitamin B's, okay, it's all linked there. Vitamin B is really important for methylation, and methylation is how you get toxins out of your body, and toxins are typically what helps your immune system crash, right? But also, when you're stressed out, your body rages through vitamin B's. It's part of how it's processing the cortisol, which is a stress hormone, out of your body. And so when you take healthy amounts of naturally occurring vitamin B's, not the synthetic crap, that's the stuff that hurts my liver personally if I take it, it's really going to help your body methylate, which helps remove cortisol, which helps your body naturally deal with stress quite a lot better. So, all I did was weigh out 2 ounces of oat straw into a half-gallon quart jar. I poured boiling water over top. I gave it a mix with the butter knife. I added a little bit more water. I put a cap on. Now you're not going to shake this. First of all, it's so hot. You burn the shit out of yourself if you try to touch this. Don't do that. But if you try to shake it while it's really hot like this, and if you're like, I'm just going to shake it instead of stir it, what'll happen is the boiling water will spurt out and scald you, and you'll never want to make a nourishing herbal infusion again, so don't do that. But basically, that's all I'm going to do. And now I'm going to let her sit until tomorrow morning. That's right, I'm going to let her sit on the counter until tomorrow morning. If it's like summertime and you're watching this video, wait till it's cool enough and then pop it in your fridge. Because, it's pretty cool in my house. We don't sleep with it hot in here at night, so it'll be like 65 in the evening. I'm not really worried about it. But if your house is like 85, 90 degrees, once this cools down, if it ever does because it's so hot, put it in your fridge so it doesn't go bad. Now, typically, what you're going to do the next day, I said that wrong. What you're going to do the next day is you're going to strain it. You can use, I knew I'd forget something. Let me grab what I washed here. Oh, I can't grab it. My dishwasher won't open. Well, the thing gets stuck and I can't pull it out. Typically, you're going to use like a mesh strainer or what they call a nut milk bag or like anything, that's nice and tight weave, and you're just going to pour this through your sieve or whatever you're using. Basically, the idea is strain it so you get the plant matter out of the liquid. You can compost the plant matter, feed it to your chickens, do whatever you have to do to get rid of it because it's done for. And then you drink the liquid. Right, and typically, because it's oat straw, there's no, you can't be like, don't drink more than this amount a day. I'm usually drinking a cup or 2 a day. I don't mean a measured cup, like an actual just, cup. And it usually lasts me about a day and a half, 2 days, long enough that I just get to make it another infusion of a different kind, right? And then typically you do want to drink it within about 3 days. She does have quite a bit of protein in her, so it can make her go bad a little quicker, but I've always felt comfortable drinking her up to 3 days. After that, I typically dump it outside onto a plant, something like that. But that is really, really simple way to start getting more nourishment into your body and really start working with herbs that feel safe and comfortable, right? And even if you're a longtime herbalist, you should be drinking your nourishing herbal infusions daily, right? Now, typically I like to rotate. I'll drink the same infusion for a day or 2 or 3, however long it lasts me, and then the next time I make a different one, you know, like nettle or red clover or comfrey or linden or something like that. And I have quite a bit of videos here on my YouTube as well as on my IGTV on Instagram about other different types of nourishing, those different types of nourishing herbal infusions, and I promise on those videos I talk just as smoothly. But yeah, she is just a really great thing to do, and when we cycle through all these nourishing herbal infusions, we really give a deep dive nourishment to our body. You can get more nutrition out of this than you can your food, and even if, like, listen, we can't all afford to eat like grass-fed, organic, you know, all this stuff that's like really like nutrient dense, but typically you can buy yourself a pound of like oat straw for like $5 maybe at max, maybe 10 depending on where you order from. Definitely shop around looking for the cheapest price, and do buy it by the pound because it's cheaper, and then you can make quite a lot of this. You can make, I made this gallon off of 2 ounces, and there's 16 ounces in a pound, right? So you'll be able to get like 8 half-gallon servings. I don't know if I just Rain Man that math right. I don't think I did. I might have, whatever. But really, it's, when it comes down to it, it's cheap, and it gets good nourishment into your body to really fill in the gaps of what your diet might be lacking in. You know, it's a good place to start. So you are smart enough to do that, right? Right, you really are. You are smart enough to do this. You are smart enough to put some dried plant matter in a half-gallon jar, pour boiling water over it, let it sit until the next day, strain it out, chill it down, and drink it. Now, some people like to sweeten this up. I just drink it as is, but like, it's okay to add a little bit of honey. I would wait, if you're working with raw honey, until it's cooled down, and then just shake the ever-living, just like that. Shake the ever-living shit out of it to get the honey to incorporate. You could do it while it's warmer, but like, it tends to kill the beneficial bacteria and stuff that's in raw honey. But you could also use a little bit of maple syrup. I probably wouldn't add refined sugar to it, because I feel like you're kind of defeating the purpose of like helping your body cope with stress, and then giving it sugar, which increases stress and cortisol levels. So, you know, find a way to sweeten it that doesn't involve sugar. But yeah, you're smart enough to do this, and I don't want you to ever feel like you're not. I don't like how often people come at me intimidated about herbalism. I mean, I don't mind that you come at me. I don't like how the herbalism world really tends to intimidate people. It's so complicated. You need to study for hours. You need to pay thousands of dollars to make courses, and then after 6 months, it's okay to make a cup of tea. No, just jump right in. You are smart enough to do this. Trust your curiosity. Just really dive in and learn by doing. And over the next year, you will be blown away by how much you know, or how much you've expanded your knowledge when you just trust yourself to try. So, if you like my random videos, if you like hearing me rant and all kinds of go all over the place and forget things and make fun of myself and just generally be a human, make sure that you like, comment, turn on notifications, subscribe, and share. Sharing is a big one because it helps other people learn that they're smart enough to do this too, and it gets the safe, simple information out there. If you're watching me on YouTube, come find me on Instagram. If you're watching me on Instagram, come find me on YouTube. I share all kinds of information, and not just about herbalism. I do most herbalism on YouTube, but on Instagram I talk about myself, and I share processes, and I'm just all over the place with all kinds of information, just dumping information on you. So, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.